Chris reports from the holidays at Universal Orlando, and we talk to Julie Zimmerman about the rides that made me on episode 332 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hey UUOP, this is Chris, and I wanted to give you guys a quick trip report from the holiday festivities over here at Universal Orlando. We started off the day with the Grinch show, and I am very happy to report that it was great. And the reason for that, especially this year, is that they actually changed some things around. All the set pieces have been changed. Some of the choreography was changed as well. And the show itself just felt fresh, felt new. So we, were happy to see that they, made these changes, and glad to see that Universal's still improving on things that, they do every year. We got the Macy's Day Parade about to start, so I will be back shortly to give you a little update on that. And we're back. So just did the Universal Holiday Parade, and I gotta say it was really good. If you've done it before in the past, then you know the drill. If you haven't, it has tons of floats and balloons and performers on the street dancing and everything. So I think Universal did a really good job on it. One of the things that stood out this year was the music. I thought the music was really well done and played to the floats. Some of the standout floats, I think, was little baby donkey dragon hybrids from Shrek. Those are kind of fun to watch. And yeah, Santa rounding up in the end, lighting up the tree. So yeah, definitely worth a watch. So it's going to be wrapped up shortly with the Mannheim Steamroller show, and I will be back to give a little info on that. Last but not least, Mannheim Steamroller. So we just finished doing that right now. We, always go see it every year. It's a fun end of the night there, and they do a bunch of Christmas songs, and they'll even do some of the holiday songs. So they did a really good job this year. They decorated all nice and everything for Christmas, so highly recommend it. If you've seen it, still go watch it, because you'll enjoy yourself. And one honorable mention that I have to say here is the Hogwarts Castle Christmas lighting. We didn't get to do that this trip just because we didn't have enough time to do it, but we did do it last year, and it was amazing. Seeing the lights in the castle and all that was great. One piece of advice, and I think we mentioned it before, is make sure you're okay with crowds, because it will be busy, it will be crowded, but it's definitely worth the wait if you can go through and do that. So I think that's gonna pretty much wrap up everything from us over here, so I will catch you guys next time.
Doesn't listening to the crew at UUOP every week make you wish that you were actually at Universal Orlando Resort? Well, stop wishing and start doing. Mouse and Muggle Travel Company is the perfect place to begin. Their team of concierge-level travel planners will help you every step of the way. And for you Muggles who also love the mouse, their team of experts specialize in Disney destinations too. And the best part of all, their services are free to you. So, if you're ready to plan your next Disney or Universal vacation, let Mouse and Muggle Travel Company do all the work for you. Just go to mouseandmuggle.com and fill out a no-obligation quote request. Or send an email to info@mouseandmuggle.com. And remember, whether you're a mouse or a muggle, Mouse and Muggle Travel Company can help make your next vacation simply magical.
Right, everyone, it's time to welcome the next of our guests to share the rides that made me, and it is, of course, the wonderful Julie Zimmerman. Hey, Julie.
Hey, what's going on, man?
It is awesome to have you on the show again.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
So if you don't know who Julie is, then, of course, you should. But honestly, go back and listen to, I think it was episode 320 on Julie, where you had on to talk about kind of everything you've done at Universal Orlando at that point. It was a podcast and a half. It was absolutely brilliant. But to bring you up to speed quickly, who Julie is, of course, she is a former creative director for Universal Studios Florida and it would be remiss not to mention the mother of Halloween Horror Nights,
Yes.
which I am excited to say that we will be going to next year. Or
I
this
was
year, as
so
this going on.
excited. I just couldn't. I said to myself, I'm going to meet them. I'm going to take them out for cocktails. I'll go over to Universal with you and show you secret places. I'll try to round
Awesome.
up some. I'll bring some of the old tribe, as they call them,
Ooh.
some of the art directors from Halloween Horror Nights. I
that'll
mean,
be
I'll bring you
awesome.
some people, my prince.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
excited.
I'm excited too.
So if you don't know what the premise behind this episode is, go back and listen to the first one I did with Adam Bizarre, which was brilliant again. It was on episode 319. But if you haven't got a chance to go back and listen to that before this, the premise of the segment is I am asking people who have had a creative impact at Universal Orlando Resort to share with us the 3 attractions that have had the biggest influence on them as a person and their career in the theme park industry. So, Julia, I tasked you with the same mission.
Yes.
You have come up with these. I know one. I don't know the other 2, so I'm excited to get into this. So,
Fabulous.
Julie, would you like to tell everyone what the first attraction on your list is, please?
Okay, the first thing that changed my mind was when I saw Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway.
Oh,
Okay.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was a musical theater person from the age of 4. My mother had the King and I records, and I used to put on shows in our living room. And I was in high school, the same thing. The first time I saw a theatrical production, I just was blown away because it's magic. So my girlfriend and I went to New York City, and we went to see Fiddler on the Roof. So we sat in this beautiful theater. You know, the lights went down, they started tradition, and I just was beside myself because I'd never seen anything like this. But what really blew me away was the stage began to move in front of my eyes.
Wow.
The actors weren't moving. The circular stage was moving. I literally stood up in the middle of a Broadway theater, and I yelled at my girlfriend, Linda, the stage is moving. I had never seen anything like this in my entire life. I was blown away. And the next thing I did, they flew the fiddler from the top of the house off stage. And I was shaking and trembling. And this is the first time I saw anything to do with special effects and theater put together.
Right.
And I fell in love with the lighting. I didn't know where the orchestra was because you couldn't see the orchestra. The orchestra was hidden in musicals. And I was beside myself. I mean, I sat there spellbound from everything, the costumes, the dancing. And I said to myself, this is my life. I will always be in the entertainment business. And that was it. I was cemented forever. And from then on, obviously, whenever I could, I went to New York City to see another Broadway show. I was fortunate enough to have a wonderful friend who was a stage manager on Broadway. So I would visit him constantly and go to see every single show there was. And it was then in my blood. You know, I loved it. I loved telling a story. And what I like about sitting in a theater and be an attraction at a theme park even is that you are taken to another place in time. Your reality stops. You are now in Anatevka, as I was in Fiddler on the Roof, and I'm spellbound. And it's a story. It's magic to do just for you. It's miracle plays to play. You know, it's just what I think entertainment is all about. So that was the first time I literally was speechless.
I suppose that makes sense because, like, when I set out to do this segment, I assumed everyone would pick theme park attractions. And going back to Adam's, he picked a museum, and you picked a stage performance, which very much have a place in the theme park industry, especially today. I think if you look at your role in Halloween Horror Nights, a stage production is very much part of what Halloween Horror Nights is at its core. It is a production, but in a different setting.
It's what you look at in the new world of what's happening. It's going back and forth. I mean, if you look at the amazing, let's talk Harry Potter for a minute, because if you look at when you get in line to go to a Harry Potter ride, the entire queue line is the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your life. They're setting up a story. You don't find that, you know, in your real day life. So the minute I step into that queue line, I'm somewhere else. And the same with a theatrical production. The minute you sit in that seat, the lights dim and they start to change into another world, which they do through lighting. You know, theater now has a lot of special effects added in. I mean, they have relied on technology from all worlds, and that's in there. Same with theme parks. You know, a lot of the designers I have worked with through the years all had their basis in Broadway.
Right.
every single one of them had done Broadway. And then, of course, when I went on to Universal, they were designers who had worked on movies.
Yeah.
So it's all about setting stage to tell a story, taking the audience to transport them to somewhere else. And theater to me was my first step into the magic. Now, remember, I did grow up in a theme park. I grew up in Sandusky, Ohio.
Yeah.
Why there was no magic there for me was it's all roller coasters and rides, and I like to be immersed in an experience, other than the hot dogs on a stick and the French fries, I was completely bored. So
I think that's the difference, isn't it, between a theme park and something like Cedar Point that is more of an amusement park.
Exactly. And you have people that flock to the amusement park. Cedar Point has some of the highest ratings for theme parks in the world. And then you have the folks that you and I love, which are running to see Disney, running to see Universal, wanting to see how can you build theme parks in Japan and China and all over the world, and they flock to them. It's because I want to go somewhere. I want to experience something I cannot experience from my living room. And for that 5 minutes that I'm in that attraction, I am in Hogsworth. Whatever Hogsmeade, God, they'll kill me. But, that, oh my God, I'm going to die. But that's how I feel. It's true. They're going to take me out. They probably have a posse on the way to get me from Universal.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but I'll keep my lips shut.
I was thinking of something else. But anyway, so I had so many people I worked with that were based in theater, simply because the designers, how do you learn how to design something where you go to design school? That's usually theatrical.
Yeah.
So all this translates into modern day world of theme parks. But that was where I felt that magic. And that's when I knew this is what I wanted to do. I have to do something. I cannot work in any other industry other than something that entertains, delights, and amazes. And that's how I started.
And that's it. The beauty of doing it on the difference between doing it in a theme park and a stage performance is there's only so many people a day you can get through a stage performance. Yet in a theme park, you can put on a show. So, for example, a Halloween Horror Nights haunted house, that you can get thousands of guests per night through that. Effectively, what is a show?
It is a show. And the thing about it now is, everybody wants to go see Hamilton, and which is playing around the United States. It's now going on tour, but not only could you not get tickets, but the tickets were $2,000.
Wow.
I think they're still up in the hemisphere. And so, I don't have $2,000 for a theatrical ticket, but I sure can take my carcass over here to a theme park where, again, the tickets are not free, but they're nowhere near that, and I can go through 10 experiences. So
absolutely.
I love theater. I still go, but honest to God, and this is the truth, the tickets now to go to a theater to see a professional performance are way up there. So
yeah. Even we have a local theatre, and even the ticket prices for that are expensive for what it is.
Right. And they complain about, not that people come here, but a lot of people do say those tickets, those theme parks are too high. And I say to myself, oh my gosh, but you're going to have 25 experiences, everything from getting in line to buy your food at a place that is Mel's Diner that comes from a movie to, everywhere you go in Disney. So, I think really why do they flock to us? It's because my whole family's going to go and spend 2 days in a mystery, magical place.
And it's difficult to get that across, that everyone still has the mindset that it's got to be, it's all about the rides. And if you don't get on too many rides, then people complain. But going to a Walt Disney World or a Universal Orlando or, a Walt Disney Singapore, Universal Singapore or a Tokyo Disney Sea, it's about so much more than the attractions.
It is. And the thing I think that's hard for all of us as we wait, now some of the attractions are really fast, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about capacity.
Yeah.
And when we were there, even designing this place, it was all about how many people can you get through in an hour? How many people can you get through XYZ? That's what it was about. Same with Halloween. Why they kept having to add houses were that we were so pressed to get people through in a certain amount of time. And you're going to ruin the experience if you do that. You have to add more than. Why are we at the point we are now with Halloween? Because so many people are flocking. You still have to give people an experience. I mean, queue lines for 3 hours is difficult. It seems that a lot of people who want to be there are better with it. But for me, it's still difficult to go anywhere where I have to wait in line that long.
Yeah, for a 5 or 6 minute experience.
Give me something that is more. So what I always suggest to people is, well, go outside the box when you go to Universal. Go outside the box at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. You'll find little pockets of things you didn't know existed anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, or give yourself more time. Give yourself 2 or 3 days and get up early in the morning and start and see what you want to see. But it's difficult because I don't ever want any of them to lose the fact that they still must tell us a story. I'm sorry.
No.
You have to be told a story. That's the ride you're going to walk out of and go, oh my God. That's the ride you come out singing, yo, a pirate's life for me. So that's my take on it.
Awesome. It makes perfect sense to come from a theatrical background into theme parks, that was one of the attractions that steered you in the direction you have. So moving on to the second one, Julie, and I think we've just had a bit of a hint there.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
How could it not be in there?
Oh, and the thing was with my life, remember, I lived in Sandusky, Ohio. This is not a big town. So what I did every Sunday as a little girl was I sat in front of that television and I waited for Walt Disney to show up on the screen to tell me what was going on at this place. At Walt Disney, I was like, I want to go to Disneyland more than I want to be alive. And that's when I first started to see glimpses of the Haunted Mansion, this amazing Pirates of the Caribbean. But I didn't get there till I was in my early 20s. So I went with a bunch of friends the first time, and it was like we're running through things. Well, I've got to, I can't get enough, how it is. So what I started to do was I lived in Los Angeles. I drove to, it's not that far to go to Disneyland, and I would get a hotel. And that way I could spend as much time. What I loved about Pirates was, especially there where you walk in and there's all those little fireflies because there's a restaurant near there. It's cooler when you walk in. You're totally in a different environment, and you get into that ride vehicle, and that's it. You're going somewhere else. It's a dark ride. It's a little scary because for me, haunted house queen that I am, I still get scared very easily. So even Pirates scared me. But I went in there and I went, OMG, how do you do this? How do you make it so real? How do you delight, entertain, and tell a story? And that's what Disney did. And that ride to me, as old as it is, it'll never get old because it's probably my favorite of when I remember. And so, I am the same age as Disneyland. We were, Walt, and I guess he thought about me when my mother was thinking about having children. So it's a true story. I happened to be there on my 25th birthday, right? And they were having a parade. And I swear to you, I said to God, you are giving me this parade because I'm 25. But I sat down on the street, and they're doing this whole wonderful parade. And again, it was like, this is my birthday. I'm in my, at that time, most favorite place, and they're having a parade. So, I loved it. And I love the Haunted Mansion, but I don't know. It's something about the coolness of Pirates, the music of Pirates, the garishness of Pirates. When the guy's chasing the girl around on that stupid little thing, which is so fake, who cares? So I loved it. And I was amazed at how they did it. I had no idea in those days how you did any of that. I had no idea.
I think it's testament to how good Pirates of the Caribbean is that it's still there to this day, and it still gets crazy lines every day.
And it should. It's something that, how in the world did they even know how to do it? Technology, you got to remember, God, I won't tell you how old am I now, but when that first started, we're not where we are now.
No.
But those Imagineers and that guy, how did they do it? How did they do it? And how it never gets old. It'll never get old. It's always going to be people's favorites. I believe it, so yeah, kudos to them. And I used to walk out of there and I was just sort of in this la la land.
Yeah.
That ride that did it for me. And it was great living in LA in those days because I would drive to Disneyland. I'm like, I'm going to go. It's not that far. I get a motel and then wake up and go into this cool place where I never knew what I was going to see differently. And Yeah, I loved it.
You can't come off that attraction without singing that song.
You can't. You can, I don't care who you are. You're going to come out and do that. It's because it's in your head. It's the same as a Broadway musical, though. I think so. If you go to see some of the musicals, and if you go to see Fiddler on the Roof, hopefully someone's going to come out singing tradition, tradition, dun 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 dun, tradition. Chorus line, same thing. These iconic musicals that have been around forever, people sing the tune. And that's what I love about that thing when we combine sight, sound, animation, all this into a ride. When you get out of there, you're just going to start singing Spider-Man or whatever the attraction is. You're going to do what it was meant to do. If it does that to me, you, and the millions of people, then anybody that has created these rides has hit a home run.
I think when you look at Pirates and It's a Small World and The Haunted Mansion specifically, they're very much the physical embodiment of what Walt did with his movies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like that guy. Well, he was amazing. He was just, what he did was so beyond the planet. And same thing. I mean, now they've got the new Mary Poppins coming out, right? And I was thinking, okay, now I grew up Mary Poppins. I mean, good Lord. Same thing with the album. I sang it back and forth, up and down. I knew every song. I still know every song. I saw it as a little girl. I don't know how many times we went. And that stays in my mind. I was a little child, and that still stays in my mind. Now the new one's coming out, and I'm taking it a day at a time. But because I love Julie Andrews more than my own mother, and I praise Jesus, Mr. Dick Van Dyke is in this one. But perhaps it's for the new generation to see. But yeah, Disney in those days, those are the only movies we were allowed to go see. We could not go to any other movie, and so that's what I grew up on, was Disney movies. And what can I say? And then I ended up working for the Antichrist. But that's okay. That's really okay.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Julie, because you look at, I know we're a Universal podcast, and you work for Universal for a long time. We love Universal more than we love Disney, but it's weird to think of the last sort of 50 or 60 years, had Walt Disney not done what he'd done, where we would be as far as theme parks are now without that man.
No, there wouldn't be anything like it, because this is a guy that had this vision, right? I don't know how he came up with it. I mean, the guy started drawing a little mouse years ago, but he had this vision of creating this place, right? With all these, who had that but him? He's one, I mean, he's the only man. He's the only, Walt Disney is the only one that I think would have come up with it. And if without him, it never would have come to people's mind. I do not believe. So you have to credit the man, the myth, the legend with everything.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they did push the boundaries, they pushed the boundaries way back then with what they did. And the attention to detail. So without Walt Disney, there'd be no Universal Studios. There would be no Legoland. I don't even know why it exists anyway, but help me, Jesus. Why? What is it? Please.
Kids love it, apparently.
I don't know. I'm sure they do. But that guy did it. It's a miracle.
It is. It's
God
weird.
God made Walt Disney.
Yeah, there's never been anybody like him since, really.
No, there never will be. He was the one person. It's the same thing of who can make the light bulb. There's one person that we equipped. This thing opened. I'm sure they were sitting there in California going, oh my God, I know they were like, will people come? Will it work? Will people understand it? It's just like anything else. When, people think you're a bit of a madman or woman when you start to say, I'm going to do this. Imagine them sitting around a room where he said, I'm going to create this haunted mansion. And, think of, again, the technology wasn't there, and they're all just like, right. Well, of course, they loved what they did, and they did it. But you got to imagine that people just thought he was totally, like the president of the United States, insane. But
He goes, Walt. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, all right.
As a kid, I loved him so, because that was the face I saw on Sundays.
Yeah.
OMG, I couldn't wait. Same thing when I went to see the Hall of Presidents. Oh, you should have seen me in there. I was just like, tie me to the seats, when they talk and they stand and they move. And I was like, I just sat there with my mouth open because I was so impressed that it was so real to me. So bless them, and Disney World is Disney World, but there's a magic in Disneyland that you're not going to find anyplace else.
Yes, I need to get out there at some point.
Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go. That's where the original pixie dust was. So you have to see it. It's going to freak you out because it's so much smaller in scale than Walt Disney World is massive. And yeah, I will go back by myself. I like to do that place by myself because there's so much magic for me. Because that little girl, when she turned 20, got to go there. And I was like, yeah, this was cool. Still is cool.
Awesome, cool, right. Well, we are on to our last one, and I don't know what this one is. So, Julie, can you tell us the third and final? I'm going to say ride that made you, but it might not necessarily be a ride at this point.
Well, it would be the third and final would be 3 attractions.
Oh.
That would be Animal Actor Stage, Alfred Hitchcock, The Art of Making Movies, and Murder, She Wrote.
Okay.
Post-production, why, you say?
Yes.
They weren't the most advanced of that theme park. They were more shows than anything else. But what I learned from working on those were when you have amazing people working on attractions, they open on time and they work. We're the thing that I learned, and why did I become somebody who eventually grew into that place was because I worked on a team that worked as a team, and it all worked because the attention to detail and the project managers made it work. When I look at ET, and I will honestly have to put ET right in there, because when I looked at ET and saw ET coming together, I was so proud of Jane Jackson for putting her team together. And so my whole thing about what changed your life, it had to be the beginnings of Universal Studios Florida. Remember, there were 9 of us in that office in Los Angeles.
Right.
9 sitting there. I got to see everybody talk about and put together every single attraction there. So I knew about Jaws. I knew about Kong. I knew about Earthquake. I knew about Back to the Future. And I saw the failures. I saw what worked. I got to see everything. And so that's why when other new things started being built there, that's why they said, would you do it? So, those 3 changed my life because I'm a little girl from Sandusky, Ohio. You got to remember that. So, and I'm in Hollywood, California at that time. And that meant I got to meet famous people like Angela Lansbury.
Awesome.
I was in an office where I got to sit with Steven Spielberg and my boss. I got to see Lou Wasserman, Sigrid Scheinberg. That's the thing that changed my life so dearly, was that I was around everybody. The guy across from me was working on Jaws, and he was trying to figure out how to make the water the right blue. What the hell is that? The Back to the Future people original had no business being in anything, and everything they did was wrong. And so I learned. And then I get to Florida, and here we go. Our stuff is going in like a jigsaw puzzle to perfection. It's not about me, it's the team.
Yes.
It's this little team of project managers, producers, project coordinators who knew what they were doing. So what I learned from them and why I had a career was I learned how to do what they did. So the first day I sat down in Alfred Hitchcock, it was a brilliant attraction. The attention to detail was so amazing. So, that's what changed my life. E.T. changed my life, but the ultimate, and then this is Back to the Future. I mean, Jesus of Nazareth. I have never in my life, I never saw anything like it and will never experience anything like it again. From the minute you walk in the queue line to you get into of course it's gone now, to you get in the little containment unit that tells you how to get on the ride, to when you sat in that seat and flew, help me Jesus. It was beyond my wildest imagination that any theme park could do something like that. It blew me out of the water.
Yeah.
And now you look at what they've done, though. They've gone further and further. Spider-Man. Oh, for God's sakes. People forget about Spider-Man. They don't write it as much because they run to Harry Potter. Get on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
At that time, the most expensive attraction ever built. Magic to do just for you.
The first time I rode that, it left me speechless. And that's something that's not easy to do to me. I came off
Me
it and
too.
I was just like, that is unlike anything. At that time, we rode it in 2004.
Yes.
I hadn't been on anything that was even remotely like that
No.
attraction. And I was just absolutely amazed.
I was spellbound. It was because you're looking at they put everything in there. They had the smell. Peter Alexander started that with Kong's banana breath.
Yeah.
you had smells, you had heat in your face, you had Spider-Man riding with you, you had a story, you had every single thing. And it was something that I never wanted to end. I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end. And to me, it was, I don't know how they did it. And they had an amazing team on that, though. They have people on that thing that were the best of the best, the creme de la creme, and they opened this amazing attraction. And I wish people wouldn't forget that it's there because it's marvelous.
Yeah.
I love it.
Pardon the pun.
yes. But it's sort of like for all of us, I think, that have made a career out of this business. I think the goal for us is to go see the next new thing, the next new amazement. I don't like some of the new things that are going in that are like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
Yeah.
Obviously they wanted to slap it up there for $2.50.
I think there's many people listening to this interview would agree with you on one specific attraction we talk a lot on the show about that I will get to ride myself soon. Yeah, we will see.
Spit it out.
Fast and Furious. It will be interesting.
No. It should be the Slow and the Damned is the new name of that thing, because if that's Fast and Furious, then, I'm shame on them because they're better than that.
Yes.
But my theory about the tribe is they've got too much going on. They've got that new one. They're going to put in a new theme park. All this stuff is going on. And they took out, okay, so you're tired of using that attraction, whatever, with Christopher Walken's hologram, which you did change. They did change it to work. Now you think, I must put in another attraction to compete with the people down the street. I must get more people in here. This is one of our properties, so we're going to throw something on the wall and see what sticks. And that's what they did. You're cheating the people out of that thing. I think it's pathetic. I don't get it. I'll never get it. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but there's a different mindset there. Did they say to them, you've got to put something new in because we got to keep something new coming in every year? Perhaps that's what they did, but it's cheesy. It's not up to their standards whatsoever.
No, and I think that's exactly, you've hit the nail on the head there. No one wants change, but if you're going to take a beloved attraction out, or even something that a lot of people liked, then replace it with something better. A lot of people. I've just finished riding Dustin McNeil's book, the Tales, Amity, the Adventures in Amity, the Tales from the Jaws ride, and you talk about working with teams, Julie. That reading that book, one of the things that came through more than ever was the people that worked Jaws were a team above any other. They were like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sad to see them take that attraction out, but Diagon Alley is amazing.
Well, I think, they had to do what they did. I mean, that Harry Potter changed the face of tourism in Florida.
Yes.
Literally. I mean, the airport now sees so many more people. Put Universal beyond the Valley of the Doll. Once again, they needed to do it. They created an experience you can't get anywhere, unless I move in with you guys and come live with you in England. But there's the immersive experience of everything Harry Potter. I get it. Okay. I get it. But please, for God's sakes, get that stupid other thing down there that you put in the Western Stunt Show. I'm talking about. But I thought about this because I worked on Jaws when it was broken. I was over there. I sat with the engineers, the first Jaws, not the next one. I sat with them in a trailer for months because they were trying to figure out what to do. And, they literally had 4 engineers sitting in there. We did nothing, trying to figure out who they were going to get, what ride system was going to go in there. But you had a ride that would have killed people had the first one remained open.
Yeah.
They would have literally killed people. So I think it should come back as a dark ride. I thought about this in the car. I don't want to do, I'm done with spiels of people getting in boats or anything you do in the theme parks where you go, hi, my name is Jared.
See, I love that.
Take an experience that you do?
Yeah.
No, I want them to go in. And my favorite part of Jaws was when you were in the boathouse. And
that's not a surprise. The mother of Halloween Horror Nights enjoying, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to see the shark come back in a new way. I would love to see the shark come back because I do, like you, think people would go see that shark.
They would.
They love that shark.
The premise, we talked about it on the show when we had Dustin on to talk about the book, and we believe that the best way to bring something like that back would be to do basically Universal's Great Movie Ride.
Right. Yeah, I saw that when you talked about
It
that.
would be
yeah.
absolutely perfect, and I think people would love it.
It's like there should be a whole nostalgia part.
Yeah.
Just not right. I mean, because we're looking at they replace a lot of things. We're not going to bring back Twister. Okay, kids, we're not going to do that. But you have things, and I know Adam talked about it, Jaws in Hollywood. This is not some glamorous thing. This thing just it's whatever, fake as it can be, but it's still there. And so they got rid of Amity, but I would like to see. Let's bring back Amity. We're not going to have a new Jaws movie. We know that, okay. But I still think if they can bring Kong back next, what's Kong going to be in the next generation?
Well, you've kind of got it already.
Yes, I know. Island. But are they going to do one more Kong? I don't know. But I think if they brought Jaws back as a ride, I think it could be pretty cool. But I don't think they'll do a great movie ride type thing for Universal because they're too into something else.
They want to promote the things that are hot now, not what was back then.
They want their properties.
Yeah.
They want whoever, now that they're with NBC, who are they in bed with on that way, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Which they haven't failed on many ways. And did you hear they're supposed to do some type of, what do you call it? The experience where you can't get out of the room.
Oh, an escape room.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation about that. So I don't know what that is either. But
yes, we haven't actually brought that up on the show yet. So we will discuss
that's coming up. But, I think we know what we love, and I love that the whole Jaws thing is people are talking about it because every single, there's people out there like Bring Back Bill and Ted will bring back Jaws. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it would. I think a lot of people would be thrilled to death. I would make it awesome, which is possible though. They can make awesome. There's no reason. I mean, it can be changed. You can change everything about it if you want to.
Yeah.
If you go back to the original movie, no, they're not going to do Jaws. They never should have done anything after the first Jaws. But, go back and think about what that movie still does to you and me today. I still go nuts with that movie. I love that movie.
It's Tracy's favorite film.
It's fabulous. And I love every part of it. And, so we have a beloved film that is still everybody's right up there. So, a day at a time, maybe they'll think about it. Just change the way you did it and look at all the other ways. Because, you knew I would say that about the interior there. But there's a lot of other things we can experience with those sharks. Come on now, Yep. I mean, I don't know. I just, I don't know. But a day at a time, we have to see what they're coming up with.
Absolutely. I am excited to see what this Potter coaster is going to be.
I know.
From
Me
what
too.
we've heard, it's going to be pretty epic.
Well, nothing they do now when it comes to that is not epic over
That's
there.
true.
I mean, every time I go into, first thing we do is run over to, I call it Harry Potter land because of the crowds and such. But, it's like every time I go over there, there's something new I see.
Yeah.
There's some new little niche. And I think Adam talked about it too, where, the food, every single thing in there this is the only way I can get.
Yeah. It's authentic to the Harry Potter world. And that's why it is so popular. Because speaking as a Potter nerd himself, it's something that people want to be immersed in.
They do. And that's awesome. And again, all over the world, people are coming for this. And that's what we have to do on this planet now. Go in there. You can spend a day. You can spend 2 days. Just immerse yourself in something that is maybe not reality, but it is fantasy, but that's really okay. I think we need more of it. Why are we flocking to our theme parks? And why can't I go somewhere and eat food I've never eaten before? That's what I really appreciate about all these things. It's fun.
Yeah.
The butterbeer alone, I mean, I love it. So, I mean, that's how I feel about theme parks. They bring the best of the best designers in now. Hopefully the best of the best are putting these things together to give the people something. We're doing this for you and me to go to. That's how I look at it. You're doing this for all those people and every little kid that's ever seen Harry Potter, every kid that wants to go into the Haunted Mansion. We keep perfecting these so that their children and my children can keep going. Now, how can it be? I went to a theme park in my 20s and my daughter can go and ride the same ride. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I'm a 22-year-old who can go ride Pirates of the Caribbean, and I wrote it in my 20s. What the hell? Is that not awesome?
Yeah,
So,
it is. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's a growing business. I can't wait till you get here.
Well, Julie, we've got entirely off topic.
My
this
prince, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's awesome to hear. Just to sit and talk to you, Julie. I could do it all day long. But
I love you.
thank you so much for joining me on for being the second guest on our segment. It's been brilliant.
Sorry, I went off topic.
No, it's cool. It's interesting to get your perspective, and I think your way of looking at Universal is very similar to the way that we look at it now. And it comes. I think you hit the nail on the head totally when you said the reason that we crap all over some of the newer rides they're putting in is because we do know they can be better.
Of course we do. And it's. I don't know what I'm sorry. Whoever is in the big house is making the decisions, because I always call it the big house. There's somebody over there that says, okay, I'm only going to give you this much money and you've got to make an attraction and I want it done in 10 minutes. That was the failure of this theme park of Florida. How the hell could you put that thing together in the amount of time we had? Of course shit didn't work. You can't do it. But the big house sits up there and they'll go, well, here's, this amount of $1 million on your ride's this much money and it's got to be done by my birthday, so. But God bless them. They better get their together because we've had enough.
Yes. Cool. Right.
No more cheesy rides.
So, Julie, again, it has been awesome to talk to you. And we will definitely have you on again in the future because you've already hinted at some of the stuff I want to get into more detail when we have you on it. Oh.
And I've got some wonderful, like I said, I work in a museum and they gifted me a lot of the original Universal Studios Florida information before it opens. So I've got new pictures and different things, but I just adore you for what you've done for my theme park. I just adore you. I will call it my theme park because
it is.
It is my theme park. And please, kisses to you and Tracy.
Yes.
Have an amazing holiday, my love.
We will. Right. So that's going to wrap up episode 332, which has been awesome. So for myself, Chris, and Julie, we look forward to bringing you another awesome year of Universal Orlando podcasts. And of course, we will see you at the Weekender.
Cut. Print. That's a wrap for another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review while you're there. Not an Apple user? You can listen on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or your podcatcher of choice. Email us any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. Keep up with the latest news, rumors, and updates on our blog at uuopodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week.